Welcome to the Phoenix Suns Solar Panel Podcast, or if you are joining us bright and early right now, live in Arizona, we appreciate you guys. My name is Tim Tompkins. As always, joining us, Mr. Greg Esposito
Ahoy, hoy.
and Dave King.
Hey, 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 how's it going, Suns fans?
Y'all getting bored?
I
Yes.
have never been border.
I I sat and literally watched 2 hours worth of a Suns game played over 2 decades ago last Sunday. So
Yes,
I,
that
and
was
I
actually
loved it.
fun to watch. The 1990
Yeah,
Suns versus Lakers Game 5. I had never actually watched that all the way through.
same
In
here.
fact, I'm not much of a classic games watch it all the way through every second kind of guy.
Yeah, I had never seen the game, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna watch it, and I actually thoroughly enjoyed it and realized. I was watching, and they were on the road in LA, so they were wearing the purple Western font uniforms, and realized I
Ugh.
highly underrated those uniforms. I actually think I may wind up in the camp where I think they should bring those back before they bring the Sunburst back. But because I fell in love with those while watching that game. So maybe it's just quarantine, and I'm going a little crazy, stir crazy, and I'd love anything that a sports team was wearing because at least it felt like I was watching sports. But I think I severely underrated those uniforms and severely underrated the impact that Mark West had on a basketball court. That man seemed to be involved in all sorts of plays that you just don't remember Mark West being involved in. So.
And you know what? One of the effects of quarantine, and sorry, Tim, we'll get back to you in a sec. I'm just going. One of the effects of quarantine that I did not expect is those short shorts were severely underrated too.
I did not.
Those guys.
I did not
No,
feel that
no.
way.
I'm kidding.
Compression
I'm kidding.
shorts were the MVP
But I
back
can't.
then.
Yes, compression shorts were the MVPs of that era for sure. I think it was fun to watch. I know it was fun to watch those guys, and I'm sure they have fun watching those kind of games back. Jeff Hornacek, God, I still miss you, guy. Still miss you around here. I wish you were back around. And it was fun watching him make some big shots. He was like our basically kind of a Devin Booker, except not as good, not quite as good, but definitely our kind of Devin Booker back in the day.
I watched
Kevin Johnson was freaking unstoppable, though. Sorry, Tim.
Poor Tim.
Kevin Johnson, going back to that game, the thing that I took away is nobody can stop Magic Johnson, obviously, when he's on a roll, but nobody can stop Kevin Johnson either. It's just amazing watching that dude play for 2 full hours on a game. I am just so impressed with that kid, and that was only his 3rd year. Those guys were young in that game.
Well, that was pre-injury Kevin Johnson too. So you were
Oh,
getting
yeah, that was healthy Kevin.
you were getting the full ability there. People forget, everybody thinks 92, 93, oh, Kevin Johnson was Kevin Johnson. He wasn't. Played 49 games. If you get fully healthy Kevin Johnson, that's a different season too. So, yeah, I totally agree. He was amazing in that. And then Dan Marley had a huge second half. Didn't score in the first, and I think dropped 18 points in the second. So I love that we're recapping a game from almost 30 years ago. So, but that's how starved we are right now. And I think they have another game on Fox Sports Arizona on Sunday. It's Suns Mavericks Western Conference Finals from 04-05, I believe. So we'll get a little Steve Nash in 7 seconds or less Suns on Sunday if you're listening to this prior to that. So.
NBA TV they were playing a couple of Suns classics with Suns Lakers, and there was a game I was watching where Jared Dudley, man, I think it was his second season or something, and he looked athletic, and it just was a really strange thing to see.
There was a period of time that Jared Dudley was in incredible shape. He was actually playing fully 2-guard, small forward, not any power forward time at all. And he was actually the Suns' best and a passable perimeter defender.
Athletic hands, Jared Dudley.
Yeah, he had a really good development to his career until he was at the very athletic peak of his career here early on. Yeah.
Watched another game. It was the last year that the Suns didn't make the playoffs. It was the year before Steve Nash was traded, where he had Gortat and Channing Frye, Grant Hill. That was fun. I still really wanted them to follow that up though with the Louis Scola and Michael Beasley game.
Why did NBA TV show a game from a 33 and 30? I think that was the 33 and 33 season because it was the lockout shortened season. They finished
games.
Yeah, they finished 500. Why in the world did they show a game from that season?
I mean, they're starving for content too. At a certain
but you've got
at a certain point they're just showing things. There was a weekend, was it last Friday or last Saturday, where like all the games, and it wasn't one of these games, but all the games they put on were just like absolute fire. I mean, they played the Ray Allen shot game with the Miami Heat. There were a couple of like other really like great games that they were playing, and I just you start to reminisce a bit. I guess it's only been like 5, 6, 7 years since some of these games, but they played the Mavericks Heat game where the Heat, I believe, were up in that finals 2-0, and the Mavericks came back from like 30 points down and ended up getting the win, and then of course going on to win the championship itself. But it's been kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, they go from that to, hey, let's put a random Suns game with Marcin Gortat and Steve Nash. Like there's
it was Suns Lakers. That's the reason why they were playing.
I thought some poor interns like, hey, I'm just gonna pull one of these tapes out and we're gonna use that, and they just landed on a bizarre ass Suns game. I love that
Somebody
act as if they have
VCR.
tapes,
Yeah, somebody found the VCR, exactly.
So this week, before we get into it, I do want to take a moment to thank one of our supporters, Steve Holler, for donating to the show on a monthly basis. Steve, Greg,
you are an
myself,
excellent athletic supporter.
and Dave, really do appreciate you. So thank you so very much. But what we are going to do this week, which we're very excited about, not saying we're starved for content at all, is we are going to read the top headlines from Suns Reddit and react to them. I'm actually kind of excited about this show.
I actually love this kind of stuff because it's usually very random, and that's where we live. That's some shows will give you hardcore analysis. Some shows will give you in-depth breakdowns. We'll give you completely random crap. So let's do this, guys.
Hold on. Name a show where we gave like really in-depth hardcore analysis.
I'm saying other shows, not us. I'm saying we always do the random crap. I'm saying other podcasts, not ours.
We usually take hard-hitting headlines and do random analysis of. Now we're taking top Reddit headlines 6 weeks after games are canceled and doing random analysis. So this would be a really, really good combo.
What would have been great is if we did serious breakdowns of these 10. Like we went in depth instead of random.
We could do opposite. Yes.
But that would have taken preparation. So we're not doing that. Let's get to the headlines, Tim.
This show had a total of 2 sentences preparation via text. So we're rolling with it. All right. The first one is from Little U's 03 on Suns Reddit. He said, proof the Suns are going to win the championship next season. 2018-2019, the Suns looked dominant for one game before a losing streak. 2019-2020, the Suns looked dominant for 11 games before a losing streak. Therefore, it is only reasonable to assume that they will look dominant for 111 games before a losing streak in 2020-2021. However, in an 82-game regular season and a maximum of 28 games in the playoffs era, there are only 110 games in which the Suns will look dominant for all of them and win the championship before falling off.
That's the headline?
Well, that's the post. That's the fact
kind of creative.
I'm impressed somebody did that kind of math and went through and actually read the schedule to figure it out. And I sure as hell hope that this guy's on to something, because after everything we're dealing with, I would really love to see some random amazing Suns season next year that makes all of this worth it somehow. I think it broke Dave.
I think it did. Yeah. Well, no, I was letting you guys talk about it. Wow. So I don't even know what to say about that. I think if the Suns become randomly good, that good, I don't know. I just can't see it. But I do see the Suns improving a heck of a lot next year because I do believe that James Jones is going to bring most of the core back. He's going to enhance the core. He's probably going to bring in another starting caliber player at least in the offseason. It's going to be they're going to be really good. Going all the way, I don't know about that, but they're going to be good.
I love that Dave took this premise and is trying to take it seriously. Where this guy,
We said that. I'm going with the try to take it seriously.
This guy obviously has been trapped in a very small apartment for the entire quarantine and is starting to write on his walls to figure out anything that he can. And this is no offense because we all feel stir crazy at this point.
Is that what you're saying?
I feel like I don't know. I mean, there's weird things posted on Reddit, but I feel like this was legitimately thought out by this guy and did the math and looked at it, and he's trying to figure out how this is actually in the fabric of the universe, and this is going to play out, and he believes in it, and I really hope that's true because I'm all for a guy that takes a crazy theory and is just like locked in on it. So I salute you. Thank you for giving me something to look forward to, even though I don't think it'll happen. But maybe you've tapped into something that's truly just the reality of the way this entire weird thing works, and we'll be all right. And there'll be 111 dominant games from the Suns next year.
And firing up the trade machine. This one comes from Rest in Peace Snoop Dogg. The headline is "Making Trades." Quotation, work so other fan bases can see how dumb their proposed trade packages for Devin Booker really look. And of course, I'm sure that you guys have seen a couple of them floating around recently. The Phoenix Suns would receive Maxi Kleber and Luka Doncic. The Mavericks would receive Ricky Rubio.
I'm in.
I would take it. Done.
Finally, I love this.
It works in the trade machine. Does it? So the proof there is that it works in the trade machine. So of course it has to be a viable trade.
This is the ultimate who says no, right? When you
throw
that out there, you go, who says no?
What I love is my brain first goes, there's no way they'd throw Kleber in there.
They're not giving up Maxi Kleber for not gonna happen. I know. This Luka kid maybe, but not Maxi.
I mean, they'd put KP in there before Kleber. Everyone loves Kleber.
I mean, maybe, just not Maxi. No. I mean, that's the truth. Yeah, I always love these because people are like, well, it works. Yeah, a lot of things work. That doesn't mean it's gonna happen. I mean, Dave in certain areas works, but that doesn't mean he's getting any action right now. Okay, I mean that's
working.
Jaden in YouTube chat says, "Laugh my ass off," but James Jones would probably decline
that.
Hey, come on, James Jones.
James Jones is a smart guy.
He's made some great moves. I mean that have worked out. So he might get another Doncic in the deal. It may not be Luka, on accident, but
here's the thing you can say about James Jones: he has not brought a single trash player to the Suns.
No.
You can complain about him shipping players off and not getting enough back for not making moves, but he has not brought a single trash player to this team, which we cannot say about previous regimes.
Right? No, what he's done is actually brought good players. However, it's a pattern, but I think, we won't know for another year or so whether it's a pattern he doesn't know how to break. But the pattern he's got right now is high floor, at the expense of lower ceiling, right? Yeah, so he's bringing in guys who have a higher floor. The problem with everybody being high floor, low ceiling is that there's always a low ceiling. He's banking on the fact that Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton have that high ceiling, and he's only supplementing around them right now. So we won't know for a little while whether the Suns are actually, whether James Jones knows how to build a team in multiple ways. But right now, he's filling in the floor basically, so the Suns can't fall through it again. That said, of course he would take Luka and Maxi Kleber for
come on.
Ricky Rubio.
James Jones has done one hell of a job, and anybody that doesn't see it right now just isn't looking. They're looking for a reason to hate on things. He's done a great job, and now he just needs to take that next step next year. I mean, he did what he set out and what he said he was going to do this season. It was a stepping stone season. They were going to prove that that they could learn how to win and get the kind of culture that they wanted. Check. They did that.
I like
year.
the comments. Not only after the James Jones would decline that, Maxi's a free agent after this season, as if that matters.
I love that Jim found the one reason this deal wouldn't work technically is he's a free agent, so he can't make the move. Jim, you've outdone the guy on Reddit. Congratulations.
Kurt,
and then the other one,
Kurt in the YouTube chat, he said Ty Jerome, referring to James Jones actually bringing a trash player. Look, where was Ty drafted? Like number 24. If he doesn't work out, he doesn't work out. Yeah. But you did not bring a trash player to the team because of somebody that you picked at number 24 that didn't end up being a star, right? Like, yeah. So let's be realistic. It wasn't the second pick in the draft. It wasn't a Derek Williams, as hard as it is to say.
It wasn't a Dragan Bender,
right?
Yeah, it definitely wasn't a Dragan Bender or a Marquise Chris or an Alex Len. Although Alex Len is a serviceable NBA player, he's not the value of the fifth pick.
If you go back and look at that draft, Alex Len wasn't that bad of a pick when you look at, in totality, the top 10 in that draft. That draft sucked.
You know what was interesting, and I've never been a huge fan, but that's changing, I guess, now, is Chad Ford. Remember him from ESPN days? Mm-hmm. Mr. Draft Guy. Now he's got a podcast he's come back with. Called The Big Board. In his first few episodes, he's redrafting prior drafts with John Hollinger, his old buddy at ESPN, and that's actually a really good show.
Hey, he has a podcast with Nate Duncan too.
John Hollinger does. Yeah, I won't listen to that one. But the one trash, Chad Ford and John Hollinger is just redrafting was pretty good. But back to your comment there. Greg, you're right that Alex Len wasn't awful, but he didn't make it in the lottery of that redraft of 2013, and I would totally agree with how they did. I mean, moving picks around a little bit, they did a pretty good job of redrafting 2013. Of course, hindsight's 2020, right? When you can take Giannis number 1 overall, you're working on 100% hindsight. But it's an interesting series. Surprisingly, when they redid the 2016 draft, neither of the Suns lottery picks made that lottery either. Not
hey, where did what about the Josh Jackson draft?
They didn't do that one yet. So they've done I'm trying to remember 2014, and I don't know if they had TJ Warren in the lottery there. I don't think they did. 2016 and 2013 are the ones that are of note. They did 2007 recently. I haven't listened to that one yet because did the Suns even have a pick that year? I think they traded that one away. I think that came Serge Ibaka.
What about the Devin Booker draft?
They haven't done that one yet. So I'm waiting for those. I would guess Devin Booker's top 5 in that draft, arguably 2 or 3. It's just the Alex Len draft and the Chris Bender draft that they've done so far that impact the current Suns rebuild. So anyway, check out that podcast. That was pretty good, actually.
I still feel like we need to do the trial of Ryan McDonough at some point, where I defend him and Dave takes the prosecutor role, and
I take the sane role. Yeah. And you take the insane role?
Nope. I have a strong case that I think I could win people over. That it was not Ryan McDonough that destroyed the Suns.
If there was ever a time to do a Ryan McDonough redraft a year and a half after he got fired, this is the time. Rona time is the time.
We've got time.
Next Saturday.
It is on our side.
Boom. Tim, you have a week to find one of those wigs to put on as the judge.
Where am I going to find one?
Order on Amazon, man. Amazon's got
Everything.
everything.
Yeah, but everything's taken a really long time on Amazon.
Actually,
Everything.
the last few things I've gotten from Amazon are back to normal shipping. So
Yeah, well, not for
try it
me,
again.
man. I've been ordering things that I'm still waiting on. They're going to get here next week.
We're
All right.
probably ordering the things that everybody wants.
Well, guitars, like amps.
Hey,
I don't
yes,
get it.
everybody's trying to learn how to play guitar in
Personal
this
sex
time.
toys. Yep.
All right, so the
Dave
next
went
one. This is from Ratchet You Bum.
Honestly, I really love the names. Like I think they spend more time figuring out their screen names than the posts that they include.
All right, so this is actually a TikTok video, and there is a father with what I'm assuming is his son. You know, a little toddler, probably 2.5, 3 years old, dancing at a Suns game, and the woman next to him has a sign that says "Worst dad ever," pointing at him, skipping the daddy-daughter dance to watch the Suns.
Skipping the daddy-daughter dance to watch the Suns.
Mm-hmm. And
even I'm a better dad than that.
And the daughter isn't with him. It's a son that's with him.
Right. Yep.
That's pretty cold. Like I love me some Suns, but that's cold, man. And for the little kid to rat him out too.
It depends. What year was this? I mean, was the daddy-daughter dance like, and how annoying were her friends and her friends' parents? Because really, I guess you could create a world in which the daddy-daughter dance just isn't worth it for the dad, no matter what he's doing.
Hold on, if it's daddy-daughter, that usually implies it's a little girl. We're not talking like middle school. We're probably talking like 5, 6, 7, like where all the friends are going to be annoying because they're little kids, but you put up with it because it's your daughter. Like this is just cold, right? How old is the kid holding the sign here? Because if he's old enough to write and he ratted out the dad, that's even colder. Like that's that's cold at a new level. He learned from dad if that's the case.
Yeah, I gotta denounce that as it's just not no.
Yeah, we're fathers of daughters. We know that
has he not discovered what a DVR is? I mean, literally those dances only last like 45 minutes until somebody cries enough for everyone to go home. So then you just start the game a little late, and you don't have to watch commercials.
Yeah, and if it was
excuse in today's world,
and if it were any time in the last 10 years, it was a meaningless game. So why, like, you're gonna scar your daughter for life?
We're Suns fans. We still watch every game.
Oh, I'm not.
So you can do it on DVR.
That's
and
what I'm
skip
saying.
The Casino Arizona commercials is what I'm saying.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not like you had to watch it live because the playoffs were on the line. You could wait and not scar your daughter for life. That's just cold.
Hey Duke in the YouTube chat says, I mean, he chose his son, Sophie's choice. He swerved. Someone
in the chat suggested we actually reach out to McDonough to do the trial of Ryan McDonough reel.
Hey, let's be honest. Ryan McDonough ain't doing any Suns-related interviews until all that cash from his previous boss has hit the bank account, and I believe that runs through June.
He's still under contract. He's still making millions a year.
I think until July.
All right, so the next one, the Coach Spo. This one's a bit more interesting. He said, I loved Mikal Bridges in the draft, and he's starting to look like a future all-defensive team guy. Crazy length and knows how to use it. Plus, if he can hit his three-pointers, he becomes more consistent above the break. Then he can be one of the most efficient 3-and-D guys in the game. What is his ceiling? I would like to caveat this with another post that the Timeline put out, like an 8-minute clip, essentially, of Mikal Bridges' defense. It was really well put together. Shout out to those guys. A lot of work went into that. But Mikal Bridges this season, he is guarding the point guard all the way to the power forward, guarding the most offensive-minded player on the opposing team almost every minute that he's on the court. I think that he has been absolutely incredible and likely the Suns' most important player outside of Devin Booker.
So the question is, what is his ceiling?
Outside of Booker and Ayton.
Yeah. I think you're underrating Ayton's impact once he came back. But so the question is, what is Bridges' ceiling? Basically,
yes.
I think if we're talking, top peak what his ceiling could be, I think it's a Kawhi type guy. Do I think he'll get there?
Ooh.
No, but I think that's the ceiling when you look at the defensive potential, and if he gets that 3-pointer to fall, I mean, you're looking at a guy that's going to be quite dynamic and have a large impact on a team. Now, I don't know that he'll ever get there, but I think defensively he's going to be spectacular in this league, and that's why I wouldn't include him in any deal unless you're getting a bona fide superstar in return. And I don't think you're going to wind up finding that kind of a package.
That's ridiculous. I'm sorry. You can't say Kawhi Leonard. That's an insult to Kawhi Leonard.
If we're talking peak,
I love Mikal Bridges. I love Mikal Bridges. Where I see his ceiling is the guy everyone talks about who ends up winning Finals MVP for just having defended the other team's MVP player well enough to win the series. I see his ceiling as the Warriors version of Andre Iguodala. Not the Sixers version that scored 20 points a game and was an all-star. I don't see Mikal Bridges ever being an all-star. I'm sorry, guys. I just don't. But I do see him as being the guy who swings a series in the playoffs for a team and people talk about for the rest of his career.
Well, all-star doesn't matter. All-NBA matters.
Raja Bell, Shane Battier, those kind of players. Tayshaun Prince is a really good comp for him. All these guys who were third best, fourth best on a really good team, that's who Mikal Bridges' ceiling is, in my opinion.
I mean, I think that's fair. You're
I'm sorry, Tim. I interrupted you. Tim, go.
Well, no, I'm talking over you. Just saying that someone making an all-star team doesn't matter. Someone making all-NBA is what's important. And I think that he could absolutely make an all-NBA defensive team.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be all-NBA defensive team, and I would say even first team defense. Right. I don't think a wing like him can win Defensive Player of the Year. It usually goes to someone flashier, but I definitely think first team all defense is a ceiling for him. And I actually think, and this is not crazy, but an Andre Iguodala type Finals MVP guy, where he gets the MVP because he did so well defending the other team's MVP.
Look, Dave, I think you're in a more realistic realm. When I hear ceiling, I just go lofty. But no, I think that Andre Iguodala type comp makes a lot of sense. Kurt in the chat even says his floor is Trevor Ariza, which sounds like an insult when you put it in a Suns context.
Trevor,
but it's not.
Trevor was pretty good, right? Peak Trevor was real good.
Yeah. Back when he wasn't in a Suns uniform, he was actually quite a player. So I'd take that as well. I think he's peak. The reason I put him more like a Battier than a Trevor Ariza is attitude. I think Trevor Ariza has proven he started out early in his career as having a big head and wanting the money over the being the glue guy, third or fourth or fifth on the team. I never loved Trevor Ariza's attitude, so I have a hard time with that comp. I like the Shane Battier, Tayshaun Prince, Andre Iguodala Warriors comps better. Look, I didn't appreciate him in year one, but I started to really, really enjoy his game this year. When you pay a lot of attention to what he does on the defensive end, little things, it's the kind of guy you want on your team because you need those kind of guys to actually have success in the long run. I'm excited for what Mikal brings, especially if Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton become what you expect. That gives Mikal a lot of room to grow because he doesn't have to carry any load offensively. He can get his when needed, but it's not going to be where all the onus is on him offensively, which means his defense will probably blossom even more.
So. Hey Duke in the chat, I feel bad calling him out right now, but his response was his Bridges matchups are size dependent and he can't guard players who are bigger one-on-one than him. And I said, why do you say that? What matchup couldn't he handle this season? And Hey Duke said LeBron. Well, sure. Right, like the NBA has been looking for a LeBron stopper since LeBron came into the league. You can't say that somebody can't guard somebody because he has a hard time guarding LeBron. At the end of the day, a better offensive player will be able to score on the best defensive player.
Yeah, I mean, and
Yeah.
it's arguably the best or the second best player in the league. Like we're not talking like, well, he couldn't guard that third string guy from Milwaukee, or something random. We're talking about LeBron freaking James. Of course, he struggled.
Tamar.
Steve Holler mentioned could he be a Jimmy Butler type of defender and and offensive player, and I just say no because he doesn't have that type A I'm eating first kind of personality on offense. But defensively, yeah, he could be that kind of guy that everyone says is one of the best defensive players in the game.
Tamar said Deshaun Stevenson, and I just really appreciate that reference.
That's a low.
Wouldn't he have
floor.
to? Wouldn't he have to sleep with LeBron's mom? Wasn't that Deshaun Stevenson that claimed he slept with LeBron's mom?
That's a weird. That's a weird brag, man. Weird flex,
it wouldn't matter if you could guard him at that point. You've already scored on him. So
LeBron's mom is not Luka Doncic's mom, so it's not really a big brag.
yeah, we would have gotten 2 superstars if we had drafted Luka. Is all I'm saying in that. So.
Code JJM said I got the line from Max Kellerman. Who the hell is Max Kellerman?
ESPN.
Oh God,
First
Max
Take.
Kellerman, talking head, who's all about hot takes.
First Take.
I don't know what line he's talking about. All right, this one, it's a Sixers trade. All right, so it was actually posted by Ray Allen for 3 offseason mock trade. This is Devin Booker and Kelly Oubre for Tobias Harris, Jason Richardson. And shit, I don't know who this other player is. I'm forgetting his name.
What? Well, say it. It's in the Reddit.
No, it's just a pictures, buddy.
Wait, Jason Richardson?
Jeff, right? Richardson?
Josh
okay.
Richardson.
Josh, there you go.
Josh Richardson. So wait, say it again. Tobias Harris. What's it?
Mike Scott? Is that Mike Scott? I think that's Mike Scott. Mike Scott, Richardson, and Tobias Harris.
For
Devin Booker and Mikal Bridges.
That's worse than the Ricky Rubio for Doncic deal.
Fan.
Yeah, geez.
That's a Sixers fan saying that, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's almost worse than me completely butchering who the trade was for.
Well, that's like,
yeah. But no, that's just awful. Tobias Harris is was last year's most disappointing max guy for Devin Booker and Mikal Bridges, basically, because the other 2 guys are just sorry, Josh Richardson, but you're just scrubs.
That's like me going to the Sixers fan and going, I will trade you this bottle of laxative for all of your toilet paper and paper towel in your house right now. Let's do this. Like, who in their right mind would ever think that was a good trade? Like, I love other fan bases. Like, I don't feel like Suns fans. Well, I won't say that for all Suns fans, but I feel like most Suns fans don't have that bad of trade proposals for other teams' people. We're not going, hey, so Ty Jerome and back when we had Tyler Johnson for Giannis. Let's do this. Who comes up with this crap?
Someone just threw in there that can we address the lack of ability to hit clutch shots by Devin Booker. Can I just say something about this? He missed all of his shots this year, of course, his clutch shots. Yes, everyone's going to harp on that. But can we not forget that he hit actually half a dozen clutch shots? He led the league in game winners 2 years ago on clutch shots. I mean, the Suns only won like 4 games, and he won all of them on clutch shots, it seemed like. Devin Booker is a clutch shot taker, and last year he missed them. Absolutely.
He sure is a clutch shot taker.
But wait.
He should get that ball.
He actually missed him, but he's got half a dozen, and I posted it a couple of different times on Bright Side of the Sun. I reposted it this year when he hit one other one. He actually did hit a big shot early in the season this year, and so I recapped. I added to his clutch shot making history on a post on brightsideofthesun.com, and the dude has hit half a dozen big shots, and he led the league in big shots, clutch shots, game winners 2 years ago. So he's got the making ability. He's got to bring it back. Yep. He had a year where he missed them all.
Wasn't the 76ers game earlier early in the year during that run? Didn't he have
Yeah,
a
I
big
think that
shot
was
in
it.
that?
Yeah. Well, he had the big closeout shots against the Clippers that weren't last second, but they closed it out with a minute and a half left. They gave the Suns a lead that couldn't be topped. And then he had the big shot against the Sixers that was in the final minute, but it wasn't a buzzer beat. But the year before, he hit a clutch shot. I think it was against Memphis. And then the year before that, he hit like 4 in a season. So the dude makes the big shots. What was weird to me is that Monty was regularly, like at least twice, if not 3 times. Maybe it was 3 times. Booker was given a play drawn up to take a 3 with the Suns down 2. When they could have just gone for the tie in the overtime, but each time Monty decided he just wanted the Suns to go for the game winner. Is Monty drawing up the play to get Devin Booker a 3 each of those times, and Booker followed the play. Booker has never broken down and not followed the play on a clutch shot. He's just willing to take them.
Yeah, I think I was going to bring that up. I feel like Monty's plays may not have been setting Devin up for the most success in a lot of those shots this year too. So you got to take that into consideration. I'm not worried about Devin Booker. The dude is clutch. He just had a few off plays this year, so he'll get back to it.
The next one coming from Zen.1, which I believe is one of the timeline guys. I could be wrong about that. MVP of the season. There's an argument for Ricky Rubio, and the post goes on to say MVP of the Suns season. There's an argument for Rubio. His on-off net rating differential for Suns players of the starters are Rubio plus 10.3 in 1,802 minutes. Booker plus 6.6 in 2,241 minutes. Bridges plus 5.8 in a little over 1,700 minutes. Ayton plus 4.3 in 996 minutes. Kelly Oubre plus 1.8 in 1,933 minutes, though I do want to say Kelly Oubre spent a large portion of those minutes at the end of quarters with the entire bench, so I think that should be taken into account. Least valuable players on off-net rating for the other Suns. Ty Jerome, negative 15.6 in 315 minutes. Shaq Diallo, negative 5 in 467. Carter, negative 3.7 in 754. And Kobo, negative 3.1 in 707. And Tyler Johnson, negative 8.1 in 515. Man, those Suns backup point guards, they got to do something.
Man, I tell you what, when Elliot Kobo was actually a positive in the first month or so of the season, when he looked at the stats, he just said, whoopee, because that dude was the most misleading stat guy of the season. There was an actual stretch of time where he was one of the best plus minus guys on the team, and there was no way it could possibly be true. I just felt like it was totally made up stat, but it was true. So that was a whoopee moment for Elliot Kobo. You're welcome,
Kurt,
Duke.
Kurt saying that he's surprised that Kobo wasn't dead last.
I am
honestly,
too.
Me too. But Johnson was terrible.
Kobo played like dead last.
If you didn't have that first month, the Kobo would be dead last there.
You can't say how we're supposed to say it, hey Duke. I used whoopee twice. So now you have to donate $5 to the show.
Dave is getting no whoopee right now, and he's a little angry and testy.
Now it's
Duke,
3 times I've said whoopee. Oh, now we're up to 5 times.
I love that we're getting dares in the chats for words to try to work in to the show right now. But yeah, if it were,
that should be a thing. That should be a thing that we rotate through. People give us random words we have to work in.
Well, we got nothing else to do. But no, you look at that, and I think without that first month, Kobo probably is dead last. But Tyler Johnson was awful when he was given any minutes. So that doesn't necessarily surprise me. You just kind of forget he was on the team because I get choked up thinking about him. Because
choke on your own spit.
No, I don't know what that was. Slowly, my lungs and my heart are just going, enough of this.
Was that Ty Jerome reflux?
Yeah, that was Tyler Johnson. I just can't believe he's gone. No, yeah. When you think about it, I mean, I think you don't realize it because he kind of just disappeared. Where a Kobo just kept getting thrown back in our face constantly. I think that's probably why it's a bit
Oh, I
surprising.
love the drinking game. The next solar party, we're going to have a word that you have to drink whenever that word is said on the podcast.
Oh, we could
No, the
go.
audience has to drink. We have to like stay sober and do the show, but the audience has to drink.
We could go the
Dave,
Pee Wee
time.
Dave,
Herman
we've
way
all
too.
podcasted with you at night,
Yeah,
man.
you've been drunk.
Yeah,
That's why we call them solar parties.
there's straight up a glass of whiskey in your hand, man. And I'm not even hating. I'm honestly just envious most of the time. All right, so the next one is from Hyperbole. Dennis Schroeder.
Is it hyperbole?
No.
It's a hyperbole.
Hey,
Hey man, I said hyperbole until like 3 years ago in my head. Whenever I saw that word, no matter how many times people say it the right way out loud, that's what I read in my head.
Hyperbole.
fair,
Let's do
but
it.
that's not what this is. And I mispronounce a lot of things, but this is not a hyperbole, right? Dennis Schroeder. I was just thinking and wondering what the Suns can do to get Schroeder. And I think this was something that we talked about on the trade deadline last season. How somebody like Dennis Schroeder, if you ignore the large contract, would actually have been pretty damn nice for the Suns.
Yeah, well,
Sure, Schroeder would be great off the bench for the Suns, and he could obviously fill in for Ricky Rubio when Rubio is hurt. He's a very, very good player.
And those non-Devin
And Devin Booker, absolutely. Oklahoma City Thunder was so good this year was because Schroeder was a third guard. And Shea and Chris Paul. So the three of them were great together in a lineup. He could also play next to those guys as well. Booker can slide to small forwardy type matchups. So no, definitely Schroeder last year Schroeder would have been really good. But he's also got a history of being a little bit of a malcontent. So I'm not sure how long that's going to last, even for the Thunder with him and being in good graces and all that. But yeah, last year Schroeder would have been incredible, and the Suns might have actually stayed in that playoff race. Probably would have stayed in that playoff race.
look, anybody with a pulse would be better than the backups that they've had. I mean, I'm just happy we didn't have to suffer through a starting point guard that was that bad. But yeah, adding a guy like a Schroeder or somebody that is a serviceable backup would dramatically change the fortunes of this team. I think why you saw them fall short of that 8th seed. Granted, we may still get at the end of the season. Maybe they sneak in there and surprise everybody.
Yeah.
But
That'd be great if it was a 30-team playoff. I still want to see that.
I would love that too. But
basically, it'd be August Madness.
But look, if you had a true backup point guard, this team is significantly better. Whether it's Schroeder or it's somebody that's serviceable like that, it would have a huge impact on this team. So I don't know what it would take to get him. I know the Thunder seem like they're this weird, we're gonna rebuild, but we might not kind of team. But Gallinari is a free agent, so maybe they blow it up. Maybe you can get a guy like that at a reasonable price, but they have to address that spot this off season. I was going to say this summer, but we have no clue.
I disagree, man. I disagree. I actually think their starting lineup is just fine, and they can just concentrate on getting a bench. You know what this team reminds me of?
I said backup point guard. What are we?
I misunderstood. I thought you were talking about
you went into Gallinari and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that, a little confused.
Sorry, I'm saying backup. I'm saying OKC might blow it up, so you might be able to get a Schroeder as a backup point guard.
If Gallinari leaves,
yes, that's what I'm saying.
I got you. You know who this team reminds me of, though? And I was watching, it was Kevin Love's, I believe it was his first 50-point game for the Timberwolves. They were playing against OKC, but I don't know if anybody remembers, but it was the Timberwolves were actually a pretty damn good team floating just below 500, and their starting lineup was great, and their bench was just absolute trash. You know, there was a lot of Anthony Tolliver that season. It was the season in which they brought in JJ Barea, I believe, but that's kind of what the Suns team reminds me of.
Yeah, I think it's fair.
You know, I really do think that by opening day, of next season, the Suns bench is going to be just like everything else James Jones has been doing, is to raise the floor, fill in the foundation of the floor. There won't be we don't know yet if he can acquire high-end, high-ceiling players. But I do think the bench won't be the problem by next year as far as productivity. I'm more worried about top-end talent and DeAndre Ayton becoming consistent in the way he was playing the last 20 games of this year or so, that kind of thing. And so I'm not as worried about the bench. It'd be nice to have a high ceiling guy as your sixth man, like a Dennis Schroeder. I mean, that dude can go off for 30 any game. I don't know if the Suns will have that coming off the bench, and that's what they need. But they won't have embarrassing. And I don't mean Anthony Tolliver's embarrassing. I just mean he's not worth 20, 25 minutes a game. They'll have guys who are worth the minutes.
What is Blueberry on the YouTube chat with this underage drinking
We are
thing?
not telling people they can drink underage, because no one in this world has ever drank underage. We're not telling people to be the first ever.
Dave is 3 times the drinking age, so you don't have to worry about Dave drinking.
Between us, we're well over age.
Okay, Kurt said that Frank the Tank is going to lead the bench for sure. Yeah, that's the problem, buddy.
You know what though? I'm going to be a Frank defender. There are a lot worse things than Frank coming off the bench. Frank is actually good. Leading the bench as your best bench player is probably not ideal. I agree with that, and I don't even know if Frank would disagree with that.
Go back and look when Frank got hurt. That's when things really turned, because you had nobody off the bench that was really providing you much of anything. So
really did miss Frank when he got hurt. They missed a lot of guys when they got hurt. Man, the Suns had so many freaking injuries, unbelievable.
So Zen point one, the next one. Again, I'm pretty sure this is one of the timeline guys. I'm sure somebody in the YouTube chat can correct me. I asked Twitter who they would like to start a franchise with if you could only pick one. Mikal Bridges, Kawhi Leonard, or Paul George. Out of 383 votes, 51% went Bridges, 46% went Kawhi, and 2.6 voted for PG.
I think my brain just exploded.
I'm trying to figure out, I guess, PG is, how old is he? 28 at 29 at this point? Yeah, you probably wouldn't want to start a franchise with him.
And his leg exploded,
Right. All right. I guess that's fair. Kawhi Leonard, what? Why? No. Why? No one would ever pick
You cannot take Mikal Bridges over Kawhi. That's so funny.
So over 50% of almost 400 people
of a Suns Reddit
yes.
I mean, you're talking about guys who probably haven't watched either of those other two players play much.
But you should know that Kawhi has I get it. People are trying to project what Mikal will be and assuming that Kawhi is towards the tail end, but come on. You picked a guy that's won multiple championships and has proven he can take over and dominate in multiple different situations, and likely would have been one of the title contenders, if not favorites, if we were in the playoffs right now. And Mikal Bridges has had 2 okay seasons as a young guy, as the third best player maybe on a bad team. That's just ridiculous. Come on, guys.
Probably fourth best. Let's see. Code JJM said Frank was good. You guys go too easy on Saric. I don't think that we go too easy on Saric. Saric just kind of didn't work out. He wasn't bad. Can you honestly name a boneheaded play he made the entire season? Probably not. I at least can't. But more often than not, he just didn't do a lot of the time.
People don't like him because he looks goofy. He looks like he's one of us out there on the floor, on the court sometimes, bumbling around and stumbling. Rumbling, bumbling, stumbling to a layup, but the guy is pretty effective. He just has he's a high floor, low ceiling guy. He's effective out there, and sometimes he makes a difference, and sometimes he doesn't make a difference in the game. But he always looks a little stumbly. So that's probably why people don't like him.
Yeah, his worst call this season was that haircut. I mean, he was what he was. I can't hate on a guy that came in and was okay. Nobody was. People were expecting him to just be a stopgap in most cases. Nobody thought he was going to be a star, and he came in and he did that. I mean, he wasn't great. He wasn't awful. He was just there. So
Blueberry
I'll tell
said,
you what, he's better than Bender and Chris.
Yeah, Blueberry said Dario was extremely average.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what he is. He's extremely average.
Which is actually our new tagline for the show as well. The Sun Solar Panel, extremely average.
Let's put that on some display ads.
Run
that out there.
3-star review. That's extremely average.
What do you expect when you got 3 white guys in glasses? Come on.
We are the Dario Saric of podcasts.
All right.
Dario Saric of podcasts.
And everybody well over the age of 30, so our ambition is just completely dried up at this point too. And I think it shows on the show. All right. If this one is coming from Krusty Goat, if the season resumes,
That's Dave's handle.
What lineup do you want to see the Suns try? I want to see some serious towers out there with like Devin Booker and Dario Saric and Frank Kaminsky and Aaron Baines and DeAndre Ayton.
You just don't want to win? Is that what you're?
No, it's just a bunch of the
lineup I
want
to see is the lineup that everybody obviously noticed was hugely effective with Bridges and Oubre back there at the forwards and Booker and Rubio and Ayton out there with them. That's what I really like to see. What it's fun to see in short bursts is Booker at point guard with shooters around him and stuff. If the Suns acquire a shooter, we'll see Devin Booker at point guard a little bit more. But definitely that's a really effective lineup. I worry about the rebounding over time and certainly the durability over time, but that one's fun to watch.
Give me Booker, Bridges, Oubre, Kaminsky, and Ayton. I would love to see that lineup. Because if Frank's hitting the 3, if Frank's hitting the 3,
I don't know, man. I don't necessarily want to see a whole lot of Frank and Ayton next to each other.
If Frank is hitting the 3, I'm in on it.
We might be romanticizing Frank Kaminsky a little bit.
How am I supposed to remember? Yeah, it's been so long.
It's like dating. You romanticize your exes when you can't date anyone at all in quarantine, and so this is like we're romanticizing some of these guys we haven't seen in a while.
I've been stuck on Kaminsky Cove for 6 weeks or longer than that. I've been in this house 8 weeks now. All right,
you are quarantined on Kaminsky Cove,
so I'm here for it now. Basically, I'm at the point with Kaminsky where I'm having those hallucinations when you're wandering the desert, and it just looks really good. All right, I need some water, but I'll take some Frank Kaminsky. All right.
I mean, we should definitely completely ignore the games where he went like 0 for 8 from behind the line.
I don't remember those at all.
To ignore those, but they looked pretty, man. The way he jacked that shot up looked pretty.
All right, last one. This is coming from Glow Worms. Who was our MIP this season? Most important player. At 372 votes, 146 went to Devin Booker, 58 to Rubio, 58 to Ayton, 62 to Oubre, 35 to Bridges, and 13 to Aaron Baines. And I just want to say that it is a damn travesty that Ricky Rubio and DeAndre Ayton got the same amount of votes there, because Ricky Rubio was clearly more important to the Suns' success this season than DeAndre Ayton was, and it's not even really all that close.
Well, and it's not that hard to tell either, because all you have to do is take one step back to the year previous and go, oh, that's what it looked like without a point guard. He wasn't good. Yeah. Like, Ricky Rubio came in and stabilized things. He was a big reason why they went on that run when Ayton was suspended, and a big reason why Devin Booker was able to have sustained success, because he didn't have to play major minutes at point guard. Ricky Rubio had the biggest impact of anybody on this team.
Absolutely, Rubio had the biggest impact for sure. Well, minus Devin Booker, of course. But, I mean, most important guy to the team this season to make them a little bit better was Ricky Rubio for sure. The most important long-term Devin Booker. The
course.
second most important term, DeAndre Ayton. But the most important this past season to get the Suns to be respectable. I mean, let's not forget, this is a team that was like 29th or 30th in just about every important category the last couple of years. This year, they were in the 16 to 19 range. So Rubio made the biggest difference on that. But going long term, of course, it's still Booker and Ayton.
Great. So finishing this off, what are you guys into this week? Dave, let's go ahead and start with you, buddy.
All right, so these are quarantine times, so we end up spending more time, even more than usual, in front of the TV, rather than going out and experiencing things. So what I'm into this week, I watch a couple of things on Netflix that I had not watched before. One is brand new, and the other has been around for years, and I finally got around to it. Dark Mirror. Have you guys watched Dark Mirror ever?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So it's like an IT a version of Twilight Zone, where what if some crazy stuff happened with artificial intelligence type things. And it's really neat. It's really interesting storylines. You're like, wow, okay, I can totally see this actually happening someday in the future when this kind of thing has actually been invented. For sure.
Have you watched the White Christmas episode with John Hamm?
No. I'm only like 3 in.
Go watch that one next. I watched the
Miley Cyrus episode, which was actually surprisingly interesting. I watched the very first one. I forget the guy, but he's one of the Avengers. Anyway, doing AI through a video game when they actually get to be players inside the game. And then the most interesting one, and actually the one that was actually I thought was the coolest, was the guy who really just wanted to meet the dude who invented social media, basically, the social media guru, and he ends up doing a kidnapping. And what I thought was so, none of the London cops had guns, and so when the guy brandished a gun, everybody just had to basically do a standoff and wait for him to off until they could either sniper him or he gave up. Really interesting episode about how far people will go to get their point across. So Dark Mirror, really interesting, and I'm looking forward to watching some more episodes this weekend. My daughters, they're all in their 20s, and so they got me a couple of years ago into the only thing that I can get them to keep talking to me in conversations is if I watch these stupid reality dating shows. So bored as ever, I watched Too Hot to Handle the last few days, and that is the dumbest reality dating show I've ever seen, and yet I still binged it and watched it in a couple of days.
Have you seen Love is Blind? That's worse.
Yes. Love is Blind was actually maybe dumber. I don't know. I mean, they were both like rivaling the dumbest possible thing.
Could you imagine that? That's like if an NBA GM never saw a player and just drafted them number 1 overall. Is what Love is Blind is.
After just talking to them on the phone.
Yeah, like it just insanity. It's
insanity because you can't have any idea of how they play basketball by talking to them on the phone. That's the same thing as this Love is Blind show. How do you have any idea if you're going to actually like the person just from their voice?
Just crazy.
Steve Holler said, "Did you say Dark Mirror? Isn't it Black Mirror?"
Yes, it is Black Mirror.
Oh, dang it. It's Black Mirror.
I wasn't...
Sorry, I was trying not to be racist. But no, it's Black Mirror. You're absolutely right, man. Sorry about that. Black Mirror.
Right. Greg.
So, since Dave had a few, there's a couple things. Finally broke down and subscribed to HBO. HBO Now, which will be HBO Max soon. I'm excited for that. But
I get it through Hulu.
Barry. If you have not watched Barry,
yes,
that show is hilarious and intense and interesting. And Bill Hader and Henry Winkler. If I told you those two guys starred in a show, you'd think it was a bad sitcom with like 80s laugh track, right? They both have stellar performances in that show. I mean, and there's just that. I binge watched that whole thing. Loved that. And then Gaslight Anthem. It's a band. I've fallen back in love with them over.
What Gaslight record? Brian Fallon has been doing these weekly shows. Brian Fallon, for anybody watching right now, is the singer of Gaslight Anthem. He's been doing these weekly live stream Instagram shows. He had on Dave Haas earlier in the week. I think he's like 6 episodes in, but that's been super cool to watch.
Yeah.
What Gaslight Anthems?
American Slang is I believe that's the name of the record, is the one I've been
It is, yeah.
listening to. But then I have that on vinyl I listen to, and then I dive into into the rest of their catalog on Spotify. But I've been loving them, and you have to give a shout out to The Last Dance. Everybody's watched that, and as much as I hate Jordan and the Bulls, I actually found that interesting. But I only watch it after I watch the Suns classic game that Fox Sports Arizona plays. Then I watch The Last Dance, and that's what I'll be doing on Sunday again this week. So
I'll be watching it after I watch the new episode of Westworld. As crazy and nutty as that show is, I still got to see it all the way through.
How about you, Tim? What are you into?
Lucky Boys Confusion re-released this album came out in 1998, I think. Growing Out of It on vinyl, re-release it. They released it for the first time on vinyl. Growing Out of It, one of 500 copies. I got one of 500 copies.
Wow.
It is just an absolutely beautiful record, and I honestly cannot believe how pristine it sounds on record. So I've been listening to that and living out the nostalgia a little bit. But season 3 of Ozark has just been it's been good so far. It's I really hate that lady.
Ozark is great, yes.
But I'm like, man, you keep messing it up for him. You're gonna get this guy killed.
Okay, so a couple things from the chat. MT says you can't hate Jordan. Yeah, you can hate Jordan. If you lived through 1992-93 and you watch him take the one chance you legitimately had at a finals away, or at a championship away from you, you can hate Michael Jordan. This guy does, because 9-year-old me hated Michael Jordan, and I never let it go. So suck it, MT. You can hate Michael Jordan. And 2, Reagan in the chat said that he was born, I assume it's a he, maybe it's a she, born in the mid-90s and didn't really see the 92-93 team, wanted to know what it was like to be a fan back then. Dave, we can kind of answer this. You probably remember a little bit better. I remember a lot of it, but Dave, why don't you start, and then I can finish that question.
Wait, what?
What was it like? What was it like to see games in 92-93 and to be a Suns fan during that time?
Oh man, I only went to a couple. My dad still had his own tickets during those days, but I did go to a couple. It was fun. Everybody was wearing Suns gear. Everybody, up and down the street, everyone wearing purple and orange and all that. It was really fun to be a Suns fan during those years, for sure. And then going to the games, Matt, the first days of America West Arena, that was really fun, for sure. It was fun during the 7 seconds or less. That was when I was more going to games during 7 seconds or less.
I don't even think 7 seconds or less touched quite what it was like in 92-93. But you got to remember, there was no Coyotes, no Diamondbacks at that point. Cardinals had been one of the dregs of the NFL, so they weren't a big deal here. Literally, it was the Suns and ASU to a lesser extent. Everybody fell in love with that team. I mean, all you have to know, Reagan, is in the middle of June, after they lost the finals, 250,000 people lined the streets of Phoenix for a second place parade for this team. It sounds insane when you think about it now, but go look it up on YouTube and look for that parade. It was crazy how much this town loved that team. There has not been anything like it that I've experienced. Even the Diamondbacks championship run wasn't quite like that. I was there for that parade, and I don't think it touched what that Suns parade for a second place team was like. It was really special.
Yeah, how crazy, man. All right, on that note, thank you everybody so much for waking up bright and early with us every Saturday morning. Guys. Joining on YouTube.
Handboy Plays just got here. Hey, all. Sorry, buddy. We're done.
Hit that on demand.
You can watch the replay as soon as it becomes available.
And on that note, we will be back again next Saturday, same time. Thank you.